There is a lot increasing interest from consumers. What you're seeing here today is the range of products that's now on the market. There's over 80 different plug-in vehicles. Last year there was 60. Go back 2 years, there was probably 10. That's the level of investment that manufacturers are making to bring an increasing range of vehicles to the market to suit all driving needs. Because it's very much about attracting the consumers into these different types of products, which means meeting their expectations.
And what are the big barriers at the moment to acceptance of these vehicles?
Two main barriers. One are charging and infrastructure. Will I be able to charge up? Where will that be? What are the costs going to be? How often am I going to charge up? And obviously this is a new technology, so they tend to be more expensive than a comparatively sized petrol or diesel car. So that's why we need to overcome both of those challenges, which means government incentives and a massive expansion of charging infrastructure.
Fantastic. And are we on the right track? Do you think that in the next few years there will be a big uptake of these vehicles?
We are on the right track, and we are seeing a lot of interest in that, but it's still a small part of the market. To grow it, government has ambitions that we will be all net zero by 2050, which means potentially ending the sale of conventional vehicles from 2035. That's only 15 years away. So to go from where we are at the moment, pure electric is about 5% of the market.
Yep.
To get from 5% to 100% in 15 years, changing the entire range, changing everyone's purchasing patterns. You'll still be able to keep the existing cars on the road. That's a massive transition. So you need to have a coordinated approach from government, from charging providers, from the electricity industry, from manufacturers working together.
So working together, of course. And just finally, do you have any messages for local authorities or highway engineers, people who are actually involved in putting together the infrastructure for which the vehicles will run? Is there anything that they need to do to help facilitate the move to these vehicles?
It is about planning for the future. What we're going to need is a tremendous increase in on-street charging. So people that live in terraced houses, people that live in flats, wherever they are parking, they know they can charge, because they can't necessarily park right outside where they live. We're also going to need increasing investment on the strategic road network. There's Project Rapid, which is putting rapid chargers into motorway service areas and the like. That still needs to be expanded. It's about reassuring the consumer, the customer, that the vehicle that they buy won't have any issues about recharging. In the same way you buy a petrol or diesel car, you're not worried about refueling. You know it's going to be there.
The EV market is absolutely picking up. It's an extremely popular choice of powertrain at the moment. And moving into next year, I think that's only going to grow. We're kind of predicting much higher production volumes for electric.
Fantastic. And do you have any asks of government or local authorities in terms of infrastructure and perhaps encouraging the public to buy electric?
Yeah, I think it's probably one of our customer kind of main concerns at the moment is how the infrastructure looks. Will I be able to charge my car, and how easy is that going to be to do? And of course, any government schemes, any local incentives are hugely helpful in that respect. We obviously, a lot of private companies tend to make this infrastructure for us. Yes. But anything we can do to encourage them to put more charging stations in more locations is definitely a benefit.
What is your prediction for the next 2 to 3 years in terms of future vehicle sales? Do you think we're going to see a lot more electric vehicles on the road?
Absolutely, yeah, definitely. I think we're as BMW Group and as Mini, I think our long-term strategy is very much to offer everything. So give the customer the choice of powertrains depending on which way the market turns. We're ready and prepared for that. But certainly, yeah, electric will play a much bigger part than it does today, rather than just petrol and diesel.
This is the Hyundai Nexo. This is a hydrogen fuel cell electric vehicle. So to all intents and purposes, it's an electric car. The only difference between this and something like our fully electric Kona is that this produces its own electricity on board. How does it do that? It takes hydrogen from the onboard tanks, feeds it up to a hydrogen fuel cell underneath the bonnet. That takes the hydrogen, combines it with oxygen from the surrounding air, which creates water vapour, which is the only emission. In the process of that chemical equation or chemical process between the two, it creates a flow of electrons, and it's that flow of electrons that powers the motor.
Excellent. I had a little drive earlier and it seems very quiet and very efficient. Tell me a little bit about what other customers have been saying, people who get into the car for the first time.
It's very similar. I suppose rather strange of me to say it, but the car is boringly normal. It doesn't do anything different to how a conventional electric vehicle drives. It's smooth, it's quiet, acceleration is very quick, up to about 20-30 miles an hour, so real world performance, it's fantastic. Again, with this particular, with hydrogen technology, you've got a slight advantage over electric in the sense that this is a 440 mile range, and this will refill from empty in 5 minutes.
Okay.
So you don't have a significant waiting time for charging.
Is there a bit of a race going on between hydrogen and pure electric?
That's a frustrating question in the sense that to ask that question is not understanding the benefits of hydrogen as a green fuel from renewable energy. As someone from Hyundai and as an enthusiast in cars, I don't care which technology is the best. To me, the important thing is using hydrogen from renewable energy store. You use hydrogen to store your wind and your solar, whether you then use your hydrogen to power a hydrogen fuel vehicle, or you use your hydrogen in a fuel cell to charge your electric car, it doesn't matter.